Come on. Beta was a
That's
really
right.
good platform. I'm just saying.
But being just was cheaper.
That's right. Market's not always right.
Because beta was the extremely big one and then VHS was like.
The other way around, beta was
Well,
smaller.
Beta was smaller, I
Yeah.
thought beta was the super big one.
Man, I shouldn't have said that.
You
I really did
I didn't know
myself.
that. Hey, let's talk about laser discs.
And it was Betamax.
Mm.
Oh, Betamax.
Mine too.
Laser disc was more.
Yeah, you're a little younger, so.
I'm 44.
Yeah, you were quite.
Give some credit there.
They had they're quite the quality. Okay, it is now 12:01 and on September 9th. And I will call this City of Lacey Lodging and Tax Advisory Committee meeting to order. And welcome, everybody. I'm so glad to see you guys all in person I think this is our first time being in person, all of us,
Yeah,
for as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
So at least 2 years, right?
yeah.
So welcome, everybody, and thank you, Troy, for being here, and Mrs. Wolf. Okay, I need a motion to approve the minutes from our July 29th meeting. Can I get that?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? No, everybody's good with it. Okay, all in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
That motion passes unanimously. Our next agenda item is our 2022 Lodging Tax Fund Financial Report, which will be given by Troy Wu, Financial Director.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. You do have the budget worksheet in your packet. I also have it up here on the screen for you. This has been updated through August 31st, so this is very current information. You can see that the hotel motel tax is about $326,000. This is pretty much pre-pandemic levels, so we're back to normal in terms of our hotel activity. I think that's been pretty consistent with what we've reported the last couple months before this committee. You can see that the budget is only 400,000. We're definitely going to meet that. We'll probably be in this $520,000 range that I projected for 2023. In terms of interest income, interest rates are increasing. I think we've all been watching the Federal Reserve actions. So we're going to see significant gains in interest revenue as we look forward. On the expenditure side, expenditures are coming in pretty much as expected. Of course, we have our partners that we support operationally. Those are going to be consistent payments throughout the year. Festivals are, occurring as we speak. So when we kind of look bottom line, we've brought in about 331,000 revenues. We've spent year to date about 413,000. The main reason you're seeing that higher level is we had mid-year transfers that occurred, which is the full year's worth of transfers. So we're a little bit ahead, but it's perfectly fine. It's within what we expected budget wise. You have I plugged in the requests, just the total amount requested. With the capital request from the Washington Center, it's a total of about 904,000, which is a deficit compared to the projected revenues of about 370,000. I will point out we do have adequate reserves for this capital request if the committee chooses to recommend that to the full council. I'll go to reserves here in just a moment, but from an operational, look, still the requests are higher than the projected revenues. But that's been the case, as you know, last probably 4 or 5 budgets. We've kind of operated at that same level, so we've had reserves to cover those in the past. Looking at projected fund balance, I'll make this larger. There hasn't been any change to this since I reported out to you. I think that was July. We basically start with the beginning balance for 2022 of 1,178,000. These are the kind of designated reserves from this committee. So we have an available cash balance of $307,000. And again, we're going to have revenues come in higher than what was budgeted. So this use of reserves is going to be a lower number, which is just going to add to that 357,000. So again, I think there's, plenty of reserve to cover the capital request. If that's what this, again, committee chooses to do. So that's where we're at. I'm happy to answer any questions the committee might have.
The rack synthetic field number is the highest number in our reserves. Do we have a timeline on that?
We don't, it's definitely longer term. So we just went through the cycle of replacing every field. Probably finished that
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah.
We originally expected the synthetic turf to last 15 years. The first ones really only lasted 10 years. There have been some kind of technological improvements to synthetic turf, so we're hoping to get close to that 15-year
Okay.
life again. But
And
we
these,
should get 10.
so these dollars are designed for when the fields that got replaced 2 years ago run out.
Yes.
Okay, so those dollars are projected. They're 8 years out on those dollars, potentially.
Yeah,
Correct.
there's recognition, I think, in past LTAC committees that the RAG was a significant draw to the area. And there's a commitment to make sure that it remains a first-class facility. And so when we were looking at reserves, that was an item that was discussed, and that was an appropriate priority to place on reserves.
Right. Yep.
Yeah, I would still agree with that. So.
And just so you know, that this is just one area where we have other reserves, like in our Parks and Open Space Fund. I mean, we're planning ahead because at some point there's a synthetic field for the soccer, and then we have the 5-field complex for softball and baseball.
Gotcha. But the parking lot overlay doesn't come out of this.
Correct. Different fund.
Those are different funds.
Yeah.
Troy, can I ask a clarifying question? So with all the projections of what is expected or the asks, we're still looking pretty positive. Should we choose to dip into reserves? Okay.
I was gonna mention that to Troy. I think you could check my math, but I believe there's 100,000 more roughly than we actually have revenue coming in. So the $653,000 is essentially what everyone's asking for. You can just look at that.
And that does not, and then down below, I see the capital, which is the Washington City projects.
Right, which is part of that reserve discussion.
Absolutely.
So the 653, as compared to previous years, it's up. So more people are planning events in the city.
It looks like there's a few new things that came through, so
Yeah,
that was nice to see.
yeah. So,
And I think the only problem with looking back even the previous 2 years, because we're in the midst of the pandemic, you'd almost have to go back to 2019, 2018 to get a better measure of
Yeah.
what the activity was.
Okay.
But if you didn't assume the increases of even, say, past participants, so assuming the new, and if everyone just did the same allotment as 2022, it was about $628,000 of requests for revenue. So just another way to look at it.
Yeah, so back in 2019, the request total was 661,000.
okay.
So right on par.
So we're getting
Mhm.
pretty close to even to what we've seen in the past. But here's we have some new people, new events popping up this time around. It should be pretty exciting. Let's hope. Does anybody else have any budget questions or dollar questions? Troy, you can actually leave that up on the screen. So we can refer back to it. I know it's here at the same time. I just,
Yeah, we've used this as a tool for your discussions about the requests, and we could more than happy to run a total for you as you make decisions.
okay, all right, great. Okay, so if nobody has anything further on what they've seen in the financial report, then let's dive into applications and move on to our next agenda item, on the application. So this is our first, kind of look at the applications. So I don't expect this to go super fast or anything like that. Hence the food. And so we probably will, take a look at these today and have another look at them. Again, this won't be our only time looking at them. So
Are we keeping the same procedure? Well, we'll do one at a time. Start proposing questions. Should we have questions? Is that how you envision this going?
yeah, the only thing different about these applications, yeah, we should go one at a time, but the only thing different about these applications are the questions that were, that were added to the application that we all approved. And so, those questions were designed for us to, build some metrics into, how we view this. So I think we should, just do the one by ones, or, as they say, sa einmaleins. That's the only German I know.
It works. It works.
So,
So good.
yeah,
So one thing, if this would help the committee, I will, as you go one by one, I could either acknowledge that they were funded in the past, and if it's the same level, or if it's been increased, or if it's a brand new application, just to sort of keep a kind of running total, it's just information.
okay.
Super helpful.
And at the same time, I, if you guys don't mind, I'd like to set a time limit for us to be out here by 2:00. If you guys are all right with that.
I would love to finish as close to 1:30 as possible.
Okay.
I have to get north to Seattle, so.
Okay, I
Yeah, I think
thought,
it's set to 1:30.
But yes, let's
okay, well then,
jump in.
if we want to set one, if we want to set 1:30, that's fine. I have, made my schedule so that, hey, I can't do more than 2:00. And if you guys are more of the 1:30 variety, then I'm okay with that.
Today I have to be the 1:30 after that, the difference. So.
Okay, all right.
So is there one thing I could, because I'd ask the committee, I need to bring one thing to your attention. So in the past, this has happened before, so I wouldn't say this is an anomaly. You did have an application that missed the deadline. It's still included in your packet. In the past, when this issue has happened, we brought it before the committee, and you basically had a discussion about it to accept or not. And just for full disclosure, one of those times was the city who missed the deadline, like for the rack and the museum operation. So in this case, Polyfest did not get their application until September 1st. So that was past the deadline, but just want to make sure the committee is aware of that. It's in the past, if we're just being consistent, it's your call if you want to have that for inclusion or not.
So just as a reminder for all of us, when we talk about deadline, are we talking about the date that it was either stamped at the counter or the date that it was stamped on the envelope? When you say miss the deadline?
So we had a deadline of close of business on the 31st of August, and it was past that deadline. We received it after that deadline.
Here in person.
Here in person.
Okay, so they
Either,
hand delivered it here in person at the counter on September 1st.
yeah, if Nicole is on, she could probably provide a better,
And the reason I ask is because if it was
yeah, through the
It was
mail or something like that.
postmarked.
Right.
August 31st,
Nicole, can you weigh in on the actual receipt of how it received at City Hall, how it was received?
I received it via email from Isaiah.
Okay.
Okay.
okay, and you received that email on September 1st.
Correct.
Okay, so we're all aware.
Cool. Appreciate it.
Okay, so let's hop in. We may not make it through all these, but let's get started. Okay, it looks like our first one is Anonymous Golf Club Organization, Agency, Alexander Beers. Have we seen this one before?
It was a brand new application.
No.
Brand new. The event is Cider Fest. The location is Hunter Park on July 29th of next summer. And the request is $6,500. I don't to be the person, taking the
It
full lead on
says
this,
it's
but
a
it looks like
fundraising event. Fundraising for who? For this golf club, Anonymous Golf Club? I don't know,
I'm
I also
I'm-
caught that.
confused. I'm confused about this application. And another thing is they didn't include their paperwork for their nonprofit status that I could see.
I think it supports covering veterinary bills for the area pets in need. Is what the fundraiser is for.
So we're gonna have an event in Hunter Park, selling beer.
You went to their website, but that should have been included, right? Right? I don't know. Good for you. Good.
So if they are a nonprofit, that makes their tax returns available for all to see, right?
990s, yes.
Yeah. And so that being the case, we could see like how much of their profit goes towards their event or their actual whatever it is. Right?
Yeah, but the problem is they're supposed to include a copy of attach a copy of your current nonprofit registration form, and I don't see it there.
So let's do this. If we have information that's missing that we feel like we would like to see to make a decision, are you guys okay with, requesting that information before we move along with that application?
Yeah.
And then we can weigh in on it in a following meeting or an upcoming meeting? Is that how you guys want to do this?
That'd be great, because that'll also help us streamline. If they're missing something, we ask for that information. We then put it in another bucket and move it to the next one.
Okay. So Scott, what do you?
Yeah, so Nicole, did we get that information from this one? I know we had some folks that maybe just provided limited copies.
Yeah, I'm sorry. They only provided one copy. I believe he was, when he delivered it to me, he mentioned that his printer was running out of ink. So he did include that. It might not have gotten into everybody's packet because I might not have been able to make copies, but I do have a copy of their status and they are registered as a nonprofit.
Good.
I'd be happy to get more copies to you so you can
No.
add those
No,
to.
As long as
we
it's,
have
as
one.
long as it's copied,
Yeah,
Okay.
So if there's questions like that, we can just refer to Nicole.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Some of the applications, they maybe only provided one copy. And so in the haste to get these together, I might have missed those. So if you have a question, just let me know and we can verify that.
no, it's
So
just, I think if we ask for it, we ought to make sure that somebody in our,
then that brings the question, when we're looking at applications, we're hoping that we're looking at applications that are vested, or at least in land use, they're called vested, and other areas they're called triggered, whatever. And so if we find something that is not complete, then we'll move on beyond that one until we do get it to completion for review. You guys are all right with that?
yeah, I have, the only question that I would propose to the group is I would probably want them to talk, since they're a new event, I'd want them to be invited to talk to us about their event.
Mhm.
And a specific question I would have for them would be number 3, when in their process is, would they start booking or reserving hotels, and which hotel in Lacey? Because obviously in question number 1, they stated that they're gonna have approximately 200 people overnight in accommodation. Well, that seemed to me that if this event is 6 months, 8 months out, that they would have already been reaching out and talking to a hotel. So I'd like to know that specific question, when in your process would you be talking to a hotel? And off of this list, which hotels would you be talking to? I noticed a number of people left question 3 blank, so that would be a question. That would be one of the questions I would provide, ask them to talk about when they specifically talk about when they arrive to talk to us.
and the other thing too is this is their 3-year event, but they didn't identify your top sources of revenue. So I could understand that maybe it'd be a projection if it was a 1st-year event, but this is a 3rd-year event, so they didn't fill that out at all.
Serious.
And LTAC number 12,
Yeah.
5. LTAC, what
Mhm.
LTAC? They see
Yeah.
Olympia Tumwater.
Susanna, when people book at your hotel for, larger numbers like this, how far out do you see them booking? Like,
not till it's closer to the event, unfortunately. Unless there's a group block that's set up already in place, you know, ahead of time, then then we kind of can project a little bit, but normally it's usually like 3 weeks before the event and maybe even closer.
Wow.
We start, yeah, our
Okay.
projection is, yeah. But that's,
That's kind of scary though, right? Like,
Way scary.
yeah.
I mean, if you're expecting 200 people, I mean, that could easily be 100 rooms.
Yeah.
And you're not starting until a month before, 3 weeks before, that's,
And if you're siloed into your own event and you're not paying attention to what else is going on in the community, you
Yeah.
may be out of luck.
I'll have to rephrase that. With Dixieland Festival, we were on the brochure. So that information went out very early on. So they were calling us, like some of them a year in advance. But
that's a different, was really, yeah.
Yeah,
that
well
was
established.
I'd still like to
really-
know that. I mean, I'd have that question. I mean, I did a golf tournament. We did it 6 months out because, you know, it was just, there was only 2 hotels in the area. So, yeah, so I'd like to know. That would be part of the question that I would ask.
yeah, baseball teams.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a few questions to ask on this, on this application. I noticed at the bottom, they didn't check any hotels. Which is one of the questions we added, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that we can improve our metrics.
Most of them, a lot of them, I should say, did not check me.
Yeah, a
Question
lot of
3
them
was,
did. Yeah.
question 3 was left blank.
Mhm.
So this team might have to go back and thoughtfully think about that question again for next year.
So I would, yeah. I would definitely call them in and ask them about, you know, their budget is 22,000. They say lodging tax, which is 6,500. They're asking for is 15% of their budget, and that doesn't jive. I don't think, unless my math is crazy.
So in the past, when we've wanted to, you know, follow up with these people, and, you know, if we bring them in here and put them on the hot seat, is that what we want to do?
No, like Nicole captures the questions and lets them know ahead of time. Hey, the team wants
Yeah.
to see you, invite you to be here part of, you know, to tell us more about the event.
Yep.
Here are some specific questions that they would like to see you address during that time period. So
Okay,
they get noticed that, yeah, the stuff that we're talking about right now, they get a nice summary and then they're invited specifically to talk about the overall event. We give them, and
Mhm.
then we had specific questions that we don't put them on the hot seat and then say sweat, you know.
yeah,
They do know what we're here to ask them about, so.
okay,
So just based on this preliminary discussion, it sounds like if you choose to do so, you invite the Anonymous Golf Club back. You want to know, okay, at what point are you going to book the hotels in Lacey? And there's obviously some missing budget info that what the committee would like to have explained further.
yeah,
So we would give them, we'd prompt
Right.
them, please be
Right.
prepared to answer these questions from the committee.
okay, so it's not like campaigning where they say,
No.
we're not gonna give you a list of
No.
questions.
No,
Just show up.
no, we're thoughtful and nice. We don't want to scare anyone. Well, Ruth might have a different agenda, but.
Okay, so do we have, do we have the questions that we want for these guys? Should we reach out to them and have a summary of questions for them? Are we satisfied with the questions that we have now, or we want to continue?
Well, I guess I'm kind of confused. Are they just using this Anonymous Golf Club as a pass-through for this event? Or, I mean, I don't understand. I'm confused.
We'd like them to come and
Yeah.
tell us more about their
Yeah.
event and answer the budget related questions.
Yeah,
Yeah, when I saw it, I thought, you know, it's gonna be a golfing event, and then it turns
Yeah.
out it's a drinking event to raise money to pay for
We don't know.
animal services or
yeah, well,
something.
that's what.
So we-
So good.
I think that's always been a challenge for the community, like if they're using this event as a fundraiser to do other stuff in the community. And that's a fair question, but at the end of the day, I'd also say the commission should focus on, is it bringing a lot of people? Is it creating the tourism generating activities that you're wanting?
Right, does it
That should be
serve our
the,
mandate?
right, that should be the overriding concern.
We just
And
want to
if
know
it's-
how it all connects.
Right, and if it's at Huntermer Park and there's beverages involved, I imagine that it does somewhat meet their guidelines. Just there's a couple of other clarifying questions.
Absolutely.
Okay. And I see on there, they have a little kind of a breakdown of what it's gonna cost to do this event. I guess that's what they're gonna use our dollars for. Okay, so do we have the questions that we need for them? Because we had a lot to go through.
I believe so.
Yep. Excellent.
All right, so next we have Capital Lake Fair. How long have we been doing this?
As long as I can remember.
The question specifically that I have for Capital Lake Fair are 12 in bullet point or question number 12.
Mhm.
Fantastic Carnival is $150. Vendor fees are 25. Sponsorship donations 20 and t-shirt and pin sales $5. And those are their top revenue sources.
I
Is
think
that
it's at
really-
5,000.
Is that really hundreds, thousands? I mean, it just seems to me that $150 for the carnival. And
No,
we're missing some
that's,
zeros or we're
yeah.
missing, so I'd like questions about the finances there. So
and my question is, I didn't see any promotional material that said anything about Lacey in here. I saw their float at the Tumwater and, naturally it lists Lacey on the banner along with Tumwater and Olympia, but is that worth $10,000? Go
Right.
around, I mean, I don't see it being $10,000.
and if I recall correctly, there was a banner that was placed that had Lacey on it, but I can't.
Well, it is listed with the other cities here.
Mhm.
Yeah, on the float.
I was thinking of one of the 6th out or the College Street
Oh,
banners that say
okay.
Lake Fair, people drive through, but again, I don't see any, like you're saying, I don't see any materials that back that
No.
up.
So are we asking for additional clarification on how this,
Yeah.
how you're going to promote Lacey, how you're going to feature Lacey in some capacity or another?
Yeah, and I'd like to see what they did last year on their brochures, if they even mentioned Lacey or whatever. I mean, I just,
The only other question I would have is how many businesses from Lacey zip codes, how many businesses participate in Lake Fair, whether having a booth or we know St. Martin's is there,
Mhm.
how many other Lacey businesses or organizations are represented at?
St. Martin's doesn't have booth
They
anymore.
they did, okay.
No, they used to have hamburger. I mean,
Right.
but they sold that years ago.
I'd just like to know how many
How many,
businesses are represented.
how many of us are
Yeah, how
going down
many of
there
us-
participating with their event?
So is this for increased funds?
It's same request as last year.
But they marked it increased funds. I don't know.
I see their numbers versus their revenue. And expenses. Their increases. It's nice. See their ending assets. And then looks like they took a dip in 2006. Maybe they had some expenditures or something. They rebounded nicely. And it looks like they've been,
If they get that much money from their carnival, that's quite big money.
so it looks like they're kind of in a,
What if it's only $150? You're not going to reevaluate that.
okay, so it looks like the committee has a few questions for Capital Lake Fair. Are we ready to move on?
Mhm.
So just one question, do you want to invite Capital Lake Fair or is it just more inquiries?
I don't necessarily need to see them live in person if they just wanted to get us information, I think I think we can make a good,
Okay.
I think what we're asking is to see is, you know, and if we have their brochure from last year, we can take a look at that, but do they have anything in the works for this year? Is that what you were hoping to see too?
Yeah, as to what they've done in the past for our $10,000. I mean,
Not just, hey, you know us, we know you.
yeah, and here's $10,000.
the only other question I'd like to see is, there was talks originally about maybe hosting it at St. Martin's. Is that something that they would entertain in the future? Is that a discussion that's completely off the table? Because at one point, it was last year, was it last year or the year before that
She
they
said, yeah.
had talked about not doing Olympia, but doing Lacey? And I'm just curious if that's still something that they would explore.
So,
Personally speaking, can I say something? Yeah, Scott, did you want to say something?
No, I think that was a unique circumstance because it was during the pandemic and I think Lake Fair wanted to happen and I think they were trying to work something out. And because of the timing, they couldn't respond quick enough. And so they were looking at additional sites because they didn't want to not host it. So,
And the state too, I think they were having some trouble getting together with the state. But personally, the footprint isn't big enough for their carnival. I mean, and I personally, and this is just me speaking, I don't know that St. Martin's would want to host something like that. I just don't know.
Okay. Yeah, just a thought. So
Yeah.
I can strike that, comment and that question, so.
you know, as we have, you know, this relationship that's been ongoing for years and years and years, and we have a banner that we put across College Street, is that for their event? Well, we put Capital Lake Fair. I think it's
it's first come, first served.
Yeah.
There are things that will bump that, but they do have the opportunity, but that's like year or 2 years out sometimes.
okay. Are we gonna, I know that we were working on, you know, banner marketing, you know, promotional things, you know, to place in the city. Are we getting closer to Hawks Prairie being one of those places where we can do something like that? Because we have, you know, just a huge population out there.
No, I think once the Great Kuya Park becomes established, which we're obviously in the process of trying to develop, I think that'd be a good site for future events,
Yeah.
given its footprint.
Well, what I'm wondering is, you know, yeah, we can help promote them here, you know, in Midtown. But, you know, are we gonna be able to, I know Shannon is working on, you know, project.
Yep.
And I just couldn't remember it because if, you know, as we continue growing in this relationship, I'm wondering if, you know, is there a way that we can also be a greater benefit other than financially? So if, you know, with our population in Hawks Prairie, I mean, between the Safeway and the Home Depot and the, you know, that whole corridor, just gobs of people go through there. But we don't really use that as like a advertising marketing.
I'd love to see the same system that we do here on College Street over there, because I agree with you, that's my 111 is my hood and there's nothing.
Yeah, I know it's just one of those things that, you know, an additional thing that we could add. I don't know, I guess that's probably, you know, looking too far, but it's just one of those things where.
Yeah, how you target that audience out Northeast Lansing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, without it, you know, looking all convoluted and.
I mean, messaging board is probably your best avenue for that. I mean, I have to admit, even our College Street banner, we struggle with that because the amount of money we get to do reservation and then the many times we have to go out even for one banner, if there's wind, I mean, we're closing off traffic, we need a bucket truck, we need 2 personnel. I mean, it's at some point, we're kind of beyond that sort of vehicle, if you will, for promoting events.
Okay.
But anyway, it's a
Yeah.
different discussion.
I think a lot of these events could probably use. Okay, let's move on to the Lacey Museum. And maybe this time we will.
I don't see any reason not to fund them. They're not asking for an increase. I don't have any questions. Personally,
Second that.
And it looks like they're still at 1.5 FTEs, right?
Yeah, we are working through that, but that is correct. at the present condition. So we're looking to potentially increase their staff.
With some of these, do we have the opportunity to just, if we all agree, that can we just
skip
say
them?
that we can skip them and that we are planning on funding them?
Mm.
We've done that in years past, where we just said if there's any that we know that we're not questioning and they're not increases, that we will just say, like, so we can make our decision list lighter.
I like that idea. I just, you know, I want it to be fair, so, you know, I want to make sure they have a full application.
Okay,
That's all.
And not debating that if their application's full and we're, as a committee, if we are like, there's no questions and we are comfortable with it, if do we have the opportunity to just say,
just like we did.
just like we
Yeah.
just did?
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's a full application and we're all unanimously agreed, I mean, that's the purpose of the committee anyway.
So we could definitely just mark that as a tentative. And then you could always revisit as you go through your larger
Do the final.
discussions. Yeah.
No questions here.
But on the events, festivals, the applicant, they didn't check if they understand. I guess that doesn't make it less than a full application. Each one, the section there that, I mean, they've been with us for years and years and years. I know they understand how this works.
With the museum.
Yeah.
Yeah, and based on the responses we received on question 3, it's almost up if we have to either say, did you book one? Yes or no? And if you did, which hotels or do you intend to?
And maybe we missed the vote on this events and festivals that said, you know, we want to make sure that you check to understand, you know.
So maybe we can clarify that. But you're right. I think we can move on from this one and put that one as on our tentative. Looks like we have Spring Fun Fair.
There's an increase of ask. On that one,
So up what, 3 grand?
Yeah.
3 grand increase.
and can I talk to a little bit to that? I mean, everything went up in price. Everything. I mean, and some significant to the point that to provide the free rides or the attractions that we had to this year, they didn't staff them all. We had to have volunteers staff them, a lot of the people staff them. Because otherwise we wouldn't have been able to have as much as what we did have. And anyway, I don't know if I'm speaking out of turn or not. but-
No, I appreciate that. I got to the fun fair this last year and I was really impressed how everything went. I had commented to some of the groups around this table that I saw there that it was who's who of Lacey, and I mean, there were so many people out there. It was unbelievable. It was really nice to see. It was a very full parking lot, and a very full event.
Susanna was there too.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the Aiden Taylor band.
Yeah.
From what I understand, though, some of these costs that we're seeing and some of the numbers have risen because for a lot of events, the insurance cost has really gone up. And I hear that, you know, circulating. You know, people are paying more to insure their event or, and then I also hear like, you know, insurance companies are struggling, not sure how, you know, and I hear that, you know, for every dollar they collect, they're paying out $1.07. And these, you know, these things kind of circulate through the industry. I'm not surprised to see, you know, the numbers increasing a little bit. Susanna, are rates for rooms increasing as well?
Yes, I increased our rates. Because I mean, you have to,
Wages.
we hadn't done that in many years. This was the first year we actually, you know, went higher than we've ever had. So,
A
but
little bump in
no
the,
one's pushing back. So,
No,
so occupancy is still at,
still
good,
pretty good.
well, that's good here.
Okay.
But speaking to insurance, a couple years ago, St. Martin's asked us to provide an umbrella policy for this two-day event. So what happened is I had to buy additional insurance but you can only buy it for the whole year for the umbrella policy that they
Of
require.
course.
So
Yeah.
for a 2-day event, I had to pay for a whole year's worth
Oh, yeah.
of insurance.
Yeah,
Anyway,
No, I
so
get it,
That's what's happening. Yeah,
because to shampoo a small carpet, I had to buy a whole gallon of soap.
yeah, yeah.
You guys remember that?
For me, I just make the recommendation that we fund fully and, I mean, tentatively fund at their increased costs. Like, I don't have any questions.
Anybody want a second?
I just want to make sure that Ruth
I
is
can't
absent.
say anything.
Correct.
I second.
You
I
second?
maybe said too much.
No, it's
First and a second. All right, so next we have cultural celebration. This is Lacey Parks Cultural and Recreation.
This is good.
Organizer is Jeanette Seiler. And is this
Mhm.
a repeat?
This
Yes.
is repeat and is the same amount as last year.
Same ask as last year,
Mhm.
and here they have their flyer. Insert our questions.
This is a good event because it kind of showcases the diversity. in our community. So we-
We didn't really say anything about the overnight stays.
So essentially what they're predicting is probably not gonna be overnight stays for this event.
Because it's a one day,
Mhm.
maybe not a whole lot of people coming in from out of town. Has anybody, who's been to this event? Yeah?
It's probably one of the more honest applications when you look at this.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's so to determine even if you wanted to, because you don't charge a ticket price and
Right.
people come in from all around and how in the heck do you figure out what
Yeah.
your attendance is? It's hard. Yeah,
Yeah, I like the Washington Center's method of, hey, what's your zip code?
yeah,
You
Yeah.
know, to gain those metrics so we can see, how effective our outreach is.
We use those zip codes for everything. I mean, for our volunteer base as well. I can tell you how many volunteers live in every.
Yeah, I read that.
Everywhere,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Yeah.
This one for me is also, sorry to
Mhm.
drive this portion of the ship, but I would also say that it's the same ask. I would tentatively fund this fully with their ask.
Can I get a second?
Second.
I mean, we just knocked some of them off our list.
Yeah. Okay, moving on, July 3rd fireworks spectacular. Anybody go this year?
Yep.
I would too. Wow. It was a nice improvement.
Mhm.
I kind of felt for the neighbors because the sound system was way better this year.
Mhm.
And it was right up against the fence on, was that, 45th, 50?
45th,
Mhm.
45th.
45th.
Cross street, yeah.
Yeah, so they put the stage right up against 45th.
Mhm.
And the sound system was improved and there's houses right across the street. And according to Scott Egger, that street is 54 feet. 50,
It's possible.
something like that, 54, I think
Big
it's the
road.
standard, it's big road.
Mhm.
And so 50 feet, you have a concert 50 feet from your house. Awesome. Right? Tracy? So, which gave room for, man, a whole lot more to be done. We had, I don't know if I've seen that many vendors. I've seen a lot of vendors there. And then the full court of
Lot of
basketball, the skate park,
Everything was busy.
everything was clicking.
Everything was
Yeah,
busy. I mean,
long lines.
long lines, they ran out of food at certain trucks,
Yeah.
so I mean, I call that a success. Even now,
It was huge. They wanted to give me a little buzzer beeper thingy to get a donut.
Yeah.
I declined, but I was like, okay, I'm glad you guys are doing well enough to
Mhm.
have to buzz people for a bag of donuts.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think this one has really
Yeah.
helped out the city. I remember when it was over on Pacific and at, by the Sears building, and Taco Bell and all that kind of fun stuff. It's like, hey, you bring your chair, and then it got moved to Rainier Vista and it just exploded.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I remember when it was by, Bush Park.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The city stepped in to make sure the event continued.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that Jen and her department have really just,
Yeah, they do.
they really
do.
did it on this.
Well, and the whole city is involved. I mean, all the departments in the city, and so. Yeah.
You know
it's
what I like?
huge.
The thing I like to see the most is all the people in the surrounding neighborhoods start walking
Mhm.
together.
Yeah.
To this event, for all the way from Horizon Point, you know, down Ruddle, down College. You just see this community walking together to go do this thing, right? And I'm just like, this is what it's all about.
Well, even North Thurston Public Schools got involved with the busing and,
Mhm.
you know, and the parking lots
Yep.
were awesome. I mean, I had so many people that I knew that had parked at one of the schools and were busting, you know, and they absolutely loved it. So, because they didn't have to worry about parking, they didn't have to worry about fighting in that traffic. And so I mean, agree, it builds that community, sense of community that everyone got involved.
Yeah.
So I think that's a
Yeah.
huge win-win.
It is, and it's like with Fun Fair, we let them in too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And with the school district, so
I've walked there.
it's good.
From
Yeah.
my house in Lake Point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with the rest of the, you know, with everybody and just had a
Right.
really good time. Okay, well, this one's kind of a no-brainer. I'm really excited about
Yeah.
it.
And it looks like it's the same ask, so I would
Yeah.
also make the agreement that is it the same ask or am I?
Two, yeah, it was 20 last.
But that's, yeah.
So I'm hearing a tentative
Yeah.
okay on that one.
Right.
So just in terms of order, I believe Lacey and Tune was missed.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's in my packet, that's next.
Mine too.
Sorry.
I'm the outlier.
You might have got
Please
the
check
late
my
one.
book.
You probably got like the first packet. And then this is a
He's
revised
like, I'm
packet.
gonna change after.
Nicole?
You did a great job, Nicole.
Your packet is special.
That's it.
That's what she said to me when she handed it out.
That's right. That's right.
They're all special. Every single one is very special.
Troy, did we get the first, since we started approving, did we get the Lacey Museum as a tentatively fully funded then? Okay, cool. I'm sorry, I was not paying attention.
Yeah. Oh, you're adding those. Oh, good.
He's
All right.
making life easier for all of us.
Yeah.
So if you're listening, Jen, thank you for the 3rd of July event. It is absolutely amazing. Moving on to Lacey and Tune. Again, Lacey Parks, Siler program. It looks like 18 is that in line with prior? Same.
Same amount.
Okay. And who's been to this event?
Oh, they Lacey and two? Oh, yeah. Hold on. Yeah,
And so is this a no-brainer for you guys, or what are you thinking?
Yeah.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday,
mhm.
children's entertainment series, concert series, music and movies. And this is at Huntermer Park.
Mhm.
That is, we do a lot at that park,
Mhm.
you know, interesting because it's right in the middle of a business district. And you just continually have, I used to work in Huntermer Park, right across the street at an office right there in the Woodland Plaza building. Yeah, so I was on the ground floor. So I got to see,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah, bird's eye view.
yeah. And my office overlooked that park. Just amazing the amount of stuff that happens in that park.
And then I think, I don't know if it's in this application or not, but they also go to community parks and do a Thursday afternoon. Program. Is that in these, in this one?
This is a separate.
Oh. Never mind.
I don't see anything outstanding on their application, and I'm gonna move that we fund this one.
Mhm.
Put this on our tentative funding list. Okay, so moving on. We might just make it, Chad. RAC.
Looks like this one's an increase. Maybe, no?
Should be the same.
It looks like the same at 180.
It increased in 2000. This year it increased in 2022.
My,
So,
But not this year.
correct, from 21
Right,
to 22. it increased.
okay, it's probably a no-brainer to me, but number 12, they just didn't put LTAC as a funding resource.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not gonna cry, it's not the end of the world, but it would be nice to be recognized
Yeah.
that major funding source for
Yeah,
them.
well, no, since we're asking other people to say that, I mean, we need to be consistent. Just bring it to their attention.
Yeah.
And they marked it was increased funds and it's not.
That's kind of why I
Yeah.
said. what
Yeah.
I thought it was.
Got it.
But I am. Again, just bring those to their attention. I'm a go. I'm a tentatively fully. funded.
11%. So it's not so bad. And the projected attendance is 1 million? Is that what that says? Okay. Is that how many people we get out there in a year? Potentially? Troy's like.
I didn't count them.
You didn't?
Well,
Maybe we should put approximately. Just to enter our bet a little bit.
I'd like to take a tour this year. I have not been- that's always been on my radar and I've never.
What,
made
to
that.
go to the rack?
I mean, I've been there,
Yeah.
but I would like to go for a full.
To see the whole
Yeah, I'd like to see
scope of it.
everything, yeah.
Yeah. No, no, it's great.
is there anything missing from their application?
Mm.
So what was their full application night? I didn't notice anything missing. But I want to make sure. Okay. Well, I move that we add them. I wouldn't. Just. Okay. Anybody else? Anybody have a reason not to add them?
Mm-mm.
No. Susanna, you good? The Shoots Rugby Club,
So
next on our list.
I don't know if I got a special packet. I don't have any information except for the.
I didn't either, so I just got it. So maybe we could skip this and maybe Nicole can get you, she brought me mine.
Oh, so she hand delivered.
Because I asked her when I got here.
Wow, Nicole.
He didn't realize.
This would be one,
Oh,
this is a brand new one,
Yeah,
right? This is brand new.
This
I
is
would
brand
love for them to
I
be
mean,
invited in.
yeah,
And then if I can get their thing before the next meeting,
You want to get to know a little bit more about
I
it?
would love to get
Yeah,
to
see.
about them.
Yep.
I just only had their, what I'm gonna call a brief in my packet,
Mhm.
so.
mhm.
Thanks, Nicole, you're the best. I still have you.
So,
Is there any specific questions? So if they are invited that you'd like to know in particular?
I'll defer to Ruth.
I used
and
to,
yeah, that's what I didn't find the location of the fields that they were gonna use.
Does it look like in the brief that it looks like it's an aerial view of the wreck, but is it me just?
Yeah, they just
I
didn't,
don't know.
Right side?
yeah,
they didn't spell it out saying, I didn't see that they said, hey, we're gonna be booking the rack.
If you look at this page
Yeah.
called the nest,
mhm.
it looks like
Yeah,
they might be using the rack. We're just more than this.
well, I'm hoping so, because, I mean,
Yeah.
that's the deal, but,
Right.
you know, sometimes you see a rendering and then the final product.
Yeah,
I
But
just,
I would love to learn more about that.
yeah,
I'd like to just see them spell out, hey, we will be having this event at the rack. Because I know the rack is not the easiest to have your event at, because it's very popular.
mhm.
Yeah, I would like to have them in. I definitely would like to know some more about them. Because this is their first time?
is, this is their, yeah, and just some history behind them. I
So-
mean,
Yeah, and I love that their whole demographic is to global majority individuals. So I think that's they also reference the underserved, which I think is brilliant, and I think we need to do. We as a community need to do more for underserved and for global majority citizens, so.
Well, rugby is popular all over the world. I'd love to see some here in Lacey. Period. You know, because we don't know what kind of crowd we're gonna attract by having that here. And it'd be nice to find out.
Yeah.
What if we get a rugby field on the great?
And it says the
Right.
US hosts the 2031 World Cup with Seattle hosting matches and Lacey is geographically positioned.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Fantastic, and there's some good
yeah,
opportunities.
so, yeah.
Definitely an opportunity for growth with these guys.
Mhm.
Yeah, let's bring them in. And the questions that we have for them. Maybe we can just know a little bit about their history, like Chad said,
And confirm their venues.
confirm their venues, please.
Love it.
I didn't see what portion of,
The budget?
Yeah.
Yeah, did you?
looks like
what did it say?
40%. Says 40%.
Yeah, it doesn't jive with the number on the budget.
Yeah,
Yeah. A lot of
So-
them don't. How can they not?
Maybe they're thinking a different budget.
maybe we can get some clarifying questions on
Yeah.
that. And
We're not listed on number 12.
Yeah.
One of their top 5.
Yeah.
is this, I'm seeing some invoices for, it looks like they've been buying equipment, materials. And I'm wondering if they're saying, hey, you know, we're making our purchases in lieu of, you know, hoping to use your facilities and hoping that,
So they do identify the RAG as that's their desire to make it their basically destination.
You had that. yeah, because I'm-
So this is their supplemental information. So after page 4, and they're trying to use the funds to provide like permanent storage. So that could be their basically home field when they do rugby matches. So they don't have to transfer equipment and other things to play.
so is, by that rationale, are they asking for potential storage space then?
Yeah. So in their application, and we have them walk through the budget, but their idea is to, obviously, they want to handle the field costs, but also on-site storage unit, rugby posts. They're talking about field lighting and then also advertising.
So they want to move in.
Field lighting, which would be different than what we currently have then.
For night games.
So my guess is they're probably playing on a field that doesn't have the lighting.
Do we have a strategy, a plan to start to hoist up some field lighting and stand up some field lighting?
So we have lighting on the synthetic field, but then you have sort of perimeter lighting around. You don't necessarily have direct lighting. So depending on late you're playing, you may not you'd have shadows on the field or. But we could walk through their proposal.
Absolutely. Do we have our questions?
I think so, about 4. So we'll confirm venue, reaffirm venue, history of the rugby club, clarify the budget, walk through proposal and what their vision is.
Excellent.
That's great.
I'm excited. I think that'll be a
Yeah.
really cool event. Really cool
Yeah.
thing to have here.
Next, we have Experience Olympia. And a letter.
And I think, no, I think they went out 10,000,
Yep.
right?
Correct.
And it looks like we have a full application. Coming in at 7.4% of their budget.
How much of their budget?
7.4.
Mhm. They did get a brochure here that does say Beyond Lacey. We do have one,
Right.
so that's starting to move. The only thing that, this is just what their experience Olympia and Beyond, but this is their main brochure. And look at how big and bold Olympia is, so that just, I mean, that just shouts out Olympia. So I talked to them one other time about that.
I also think we moved, I could be wrong, but I think we also moved a position down here
Oh,
from a previous brochure.
we got position number 2.
I could be wrong, but I believe that that was a change as well. I also I mean, I also get that they were, what, Olympia. I'm gonna get it wrong.
Visitor and Convention Bureau.
Yeah, it was just the Olympia VCB, and then they moved to Olympia and Beyond with Shauna, correct? And that branding has stayed.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
Just before this meeting started, Nicole gave me this letter from NetBids, which says, hey, I've been meaning to follow up with you guys. Please take a look at the expanded City of Lacey section
Oh,
of the
okay.
website that features an expanded section featuring Lacey Parks information as well as a new blog that not only features more parks, but showcases robust mapping and itinerary building tools specifically around accessing Lacey Parks.
Oh, good.
And so I
Because
have,
we had talked about it.
yeah, and I asked Nicole to share that with all you guys just before this meeting started, so you may not have seen it yet, but it's in your emails now.
That makes me really happy, and this rack card makes me very happy as well, because we have asked for that in the past. And I don't know how many other communities they're doing this for, I just am not that familiar, but this does make me very happy,
Yeah.
so.
I'm gonna say that, you know, relationships aren't always easy, and there's tweaks that have to go, you know, as you continue relationships and you grow together. Sometimes people grow apart, but I am definitely interested in growing together with these guys. So long as we all feel that we're being treated fairly. I definitely want to say that I feel like they are responding to us, and maybe they didn't know how we felt. Or maybe they did. But it appears as though, you know, if you've ever been in a relationship where like maybe you felt slighted, or, you know, you didn't feel like, you know, you were being really heard. Sometimes it's like,
That's true.
take a look and take a second look to see, you know, has there been any change in the relationship?
I also feel for me, and speaking as somebody, you know, that I think everyone knows that I participate in the CTA program, the Certified Tourism and Ambassador program. And I would still encourage everyone on this committee to go through that program, because they do a lot to promote Lacey, and we do there's an exercise that we do in that highlights the different areas of the community, and everybody participates in the group. We sometimes, when in the in-person ones, we do it on the wall where we break everybody down into teams, and people are like, okay, let's talk about Lacey. And we spend, you know, a good 15-20 minutes in that exercise, really developing different communities. So I feel like that's been a major change in shift in thought. Also know that it's with some of these smaller organizations, you know, they were down to 2 people. The VCB was down to 2 people, and really those 2 people were doing the best that they could to make sure that they were still giving us everything that we wanted. I feel like they made great strides in doing that. And I know that things like this aren't built overnight. Like, you know, they can't just, I think they've listened to us. I think they've done a really good job of listening to what our needs were, to complement what you had said, you know, sometimes that you just don't feel heard, or they don't know what we need. we tell them what we need, and then this becomes a production of that, or this is a very thoughtful representation of asking for us to be more visible. And I would like to say, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. I feel like they are listening to us. They are hearing us. So for me, I'm pretty comfortable in this. I think that they are making great strides to really hear what we want. I think we've brought clarity to what we've asked for in the past. So I applaud that team for, now they're getting more people on. I think they've got a larger staff now, so they can, even do more with what they can do. So I don't really have any questions.
I do.
Okay.
I only do because I totally agree that they're moving in the right direction. But I think for several years, we weren't heard to the point that they were making changes. I totally agree that they have shifted and they are listening to us. But my whole question is, look how much we're spending on tourism. I mean, we're spending a lot of money on tourism for Lacey between Experience Olympia and Beyond and the chamber. And we have to be mindful of that. And if they're adding staff, that's great because, but we've been paying them at the same level that they had full staff, right? We didn't reduce our funding to them. So I kind of think we need to figure out what is that additional $10,000 going to do for us?
Troy, can you,
And I just totally agree. I think we're being heard. I really do. And I just so much different than when I first started on the lodging tax committee, because I mean, we didn't even hardly have anybody on the board or anything, and now we do. And this is great. I mean,
right,
I think Annette has been, I'll say responsive. I think she
Yes.
recognizes if you're not Olympia, the Tumwaters and Lacey's of the world, that does seem sort of out of place. How do you promote our community without sort of being up front?
Right.
And I believe their sub-branding, is now Lacey and
Yeah.
Beyond. So there's that ability to better directly market our communities too. So. I think
And I know that I want to say in the last 8 months, they've added 3 new people that I can think of.
oh, really?
So I really feel like, when I talk to Jeff, Jeff's like, hey, Chad, I want to introduce you to this individual that is now working for us. And so instead of, it was Jeff and
Good.
Kelly, it was the Jeff, Jeff and Kelly holding up everything, and that came on board. Then they got a marketing person, they got a few other bodies to help them with their organization. So I really feel like that has been what's been the driving force to be able to add this and to promote these things for us. So for me, maybe we asked that question about, what will the $10,000 increase do? It's not a showstopper for me. I visibly see them adding staff. And
See, and I don't know that.
right,
Yeah.
but that's
okay, so
yeah.
then maybe they do come in and talk to us about upgrades that they've made, any updates that they may have, and, the additional $10,000 and, and maybe they don't have to stay for an hour, maybe they can be here for
No.
5 minutes, but let's have a conversation with them, because it sounds like, the relationship is heading in the right direction, but let's sit and talk just for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Is that right?
I agree.
So I want to make sure I capture, so provide a general update, maybe discuss about maybe new initiatives, they've increased staff, kind of just a general feel where the new direction's going. Is that?
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
sure.
maybe the question is that, how do you feel that the $10,000 is gonna, best serve Lacey's community, or, maybe that's that question that's
Yeah.
on the table. But absolutely, please come talk about your staff. Please talk about the changes that you're
Right.
making with your programs. Sure, I would love to, this is such a huge thing for our community. I absolutely would welcome just a refresher. So-
And it's just nice to feel like we're being heard now. And I think we need to show that appreciation to her too.
Yeah, and I went to their first awards event
Yeah,
over there.
they're with you at Indian Summer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, so in my mind, they have, grown or taken a step you know, towards growth and adding staff and all those things. Let's get an update from them.
Yeah.
And I think that'll help everybody here with this.
Absolutely.
All right, Susanna, you wanna? No, you good?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so are we ready to move on?
Yeah.
Okay. Who's got eye on the time? All right, we're 20 minutes,
What time is it?
1:10.
It really is.
We got this, friends.
Yeah. Yeah, we're moving along.
Okay.
About halfway through.
I won't talk as much.
Okay, so have we made it halfway?
Yeah.
This will be halfway, right? We have 22 applications.
Yeah, and this one, I mean, they're not asking for an increase. They're asking for a reasonable amount for a one-day festival.
It's a tentative go for me.
Yeah.
It's really honestly,
Right,
I have no. Yeah, I have no questions. For me, it's a go.
All right, we have a complete application. They're suggesting
mhm.
100 overnight stays.
See, this is another one that's so hard to tell. I mean, seriously. Unless you do an event that has tenants, yeah.
I would love to see just, if 1 year, it'd be fun to see all the events just have a zip code where a kiosk, zip code kiosk at the entrance, and people just put their, just their area code. We're not asking for any other information, just put your zip code in.
Okay, but look at St. Martin's. Okay, so to do that, we tried to talk to people as they came in and ask them those questions 1 year. I mean, we're missing half the people.
We
I
totally
mean,
are. We will
yeah.
always miss
Yeah,
half, but
so-
even if we got a sample,
Yeah,
Yeah, so are we asking them to increase their costs? In doing that?
no, I'm not saying for them. I'm just saying in general.
In general,
In general,
yeah.
it'd be fun to have some kind of group of people that could do that and just go around to the different places that are in Thurston County that. have
start a
festivals.
business.
On events that have,
Right on top of that, Rose.
Yeah,
on events that have a gate, and actually this is one of those, you probably could pull that off. Because it's a 21 and older.
Right.
yeah.
It would be so fascinating to see where people come and.
They used to do that with the Mushroom Festival, remember?
So if we wanted something like that, we would probably have to institute that ourselves and
Yeah.
put that thing at the gate and make sure that that happens so that we can collect those metrics ourselves.
You could just put in the contract to say, if you have a single gate entry, please collect this data.
Oh,
Just make
yeah,
it part of the contract.
yeah.
At their cost. That's my concern.
Well, I think it's more of it's a question, you write it down. I don't know if it
Yeah.
would be a substantial cost or not.
And if it's a gate, somebody's taking a ticket or somebody's doing something,
Sure.
so. it would- Yeah,
I'm with that. I get it, right? And in my opinion, it's like the person who wants your phone number at the grocery store,
yeah.
right? I'm like, you can't have my phone number, lady. I just want a bag of chips, you know?
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean? And I'm trying to not get us to that
That's right.
place.
You can call some Doritos. Hey,
You'll get a discount.
We'll offer you some incentive.
that's right. Nabisco's calling.
So that's
Boards.
right. That's my concern as we,
Yeah.
have this discussion and start heading down that direction. So if we can find a tactful way to do it, absolutely.
It'd just be fun. I mean, it's the nerd in me that wants the data, so.
Oh, goodness sakes.
So I know that this is an event that the community enjoys. I know this is an event that is fairly consistent and has a good turnout. I've driven by it. I have not gone in it. He's always on a Saturday. It's always nice out. And I'm like, I could be on the water. I could be,
On my bike.
on my bike.
Yeah.
So I don't drink. So it's like,
Yeah.
They are bringing, I also am there with you, they are bringing in local distilleries, local craft, and I mean, as we know, we have the craft district.
Yeah.
yeah,
So they are highlighting, that, I mean, this would be, if we were gonna invite them in, we're not gonna invite them in, I don't need
No.
to see them, but it would be interesting to be like, hey, how many at Lacey, craft.
Yeah, are you inviting?
Are coming in. I mean, I'm sure Top Run's there. I know Top Run's there. But there's just other, it's just another interesting data point.
Goes good with chips.
Please tell us, bro. Yeah, okay, so it's middle of the summer, it's 90 degrees out. It's too hot to be drinking, in my opinion. That's
Yeah.
my only personal opinion. And it's almost too hot for food. I'm just saying, your metabolism slows down as the temperature rises and it's.
I'll have 2 beers on your
The
back.
South, the South would disagree.
Yeah, okay, so,
Look at the time.
all right, we're doing good. We're, it looks like, we have.
Look at the time.
We got a time for some final comments. Because we're running out of time. And if we get into another one, yeah, so let's,
So we got.
let's put a marker down. And we have another one of these. Is it next Friday?
Yeah, what time is it next Friday?
So, yeah, our next one is September 16th, and it's at 10 o'clock, 10 to 11.
So 10 to 11 on September 16th. When you guys get a chance, take a look at the email that I had Nicole share with you
Okay.
from Annette, and she put a link in there for the expanded Lacey session.
Mhm.
Okay, so that'll be
Good.
fun to go and take a look at. Troy, you want to give us an update?
So of the tentative funded events, totals 297,500. I believe I highlighted the events that you'd like to see come back before the community. Okay. So we have the Anonymous Golf Club Cider Fest, Deschutes Rugby. Experience, beyond. Lake Fair, we're bringing Lake Fair back, or are we just responding?
So my notes is that we have questions for Lake Fair, but they're not coming in.
Mhm.
So I would like the rugby people to come in though. I want to meet those guys.
Yeah.
And, it looks like and sounds like there is, a collaborative partnership that can happen there.
Great.
And we can have consistent rugby in the city of Lacey. That sounds like a lot of fun.
So according to my notes, we're gonna invite the Anonymous Golf Club. Looks like Deschutes Rugby Club and then BCB. Those are the 3 so far we've identified of the half.
Mhm.
Okay. Another note on VCB, I did, I spent some time at the military base with Colonel Boardwell and his replacement, who we were supposed to go and meet next week, but they had to cancel because they had a conflict. But they are wanting to do some more promotional, South County promotional stuff. They want to send soldiers here instead of sending them to Seattle for activities and getting out into the open. So a lot of their marketing has been towards the Seattle area. So they have the Northwest Adventure, the MWR, their outlet for, hey, there's events over there, there's stuff to do over there. And what Colonel Boardwell was saying is, hey, we have a lot of young single soldiers who cannot afford $100 parking in Seattle, who cannot afford, to go north because it's just become so expensive. Can we connect with you guys and really just start sending people your way, get into your funnels and get, connected with your, materials and promotional items that you have and, whatever connections that you guys have to promote or, activity so we can know what's going on in your community so we can push people that way. And I was like, absolutely, we can for sure make that happen. And I immediately turned around and connected their liaison with our Parks and Rec first and foremost. And then I turned around and also same day connected them with Olympia and Beyond. And their rep called me right back And I, you know, just kind of made that connection. So we should be seeing a little more in that avenue, in that vein of, you know, so they've reached out and kind of kept me in the emails to the military liaison for that. And they are developing, you know, some relationship and trying to, you know, get that thing going. So
That's really good because I know with Fun Fair, we coincide with the Military Appreciation Day. And we always had a big military appreciation, presence at Fun Fair. And that was very, very attractive, you know. But we have had none lately, so this will be good. Even though we coincide with, there's gotta be somebody that they can send down here.
absolutely, you know, I ended up at Lakewood's, you know, event, their city event. They have a really big field area where they had 2 stages. Anyway, a Black Hawk helicopter landed there. Okay, and then later
We
on,
used to have
you
a
know,
helicopter.
took off from there. And so they had like this whole military thing happen, and that was just one small portion of a much larger event. You know, now we haven't had that. I don't know that we have had that before, but if they can do it, we can do it.
We used to have a military helicopter land at Fun Fair, and it was out in the field now where the softball field is, and I think Charnisky Hall and stuff, we can't do it anymore because of the footprint. But yeah, and boy, that was popular.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah,
Yeah, they had a whole,
that's good contact.
a 20-minute drone show. Instead of the fireworks, they had a drone thing.
Mhm.
So you guys know
Oh,
Shannon
sure.
used to work there, right?
Yeah.
So
Drone would be good.
why not us?
Yeah, that's really cool.
So let me ask the committee this in terms of just what we have for time. Do you want to then take the September 16th and just go through the final half of the applications?
Absolutely.
Then we'll look at the 23rd to invite the folks so far that you want. We'll give them a heads up. We can definitely ask the questions of Capital Lake Fair and have that ready for, if they respond, we can ask them for the 16th of September. And then we still have the 23rd and 30th to
Mhm.
finish up our process. So
Right.
just about.
And just so everybody, our funding cycle ends.
So we're on the calendar year, so.
Okay, December 31st.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So unless somebody else has something more to add, then I guess
Good
our business here is done.
conversations about our community and our events.
Yeah,
I think this is good.
we have a lot going on here, and we have some really great spaces,
Mhm.
drawing them in.
I think it's great. So,
Okay, well, if there's no objection, I'm gonna call this meeting adjourned.
excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you guys all for being here.
You. Thank you, Nicole.
And that, yeah.
Thanks for my special lunch, Nicole.
Yeah,
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Nicole.
Welcome.
so it's from 10 to 11, and then what is the following week? Because why did I have them all at noon?
No, from 11 to, is it 11 to 1 next week?
So it's 10 to 11 is.
10 to 11.
Yeah, see,
I think it's.
So can
because of-
everybody, I mean, in the interest of getting through the second half, can we, is there a conflict with 11:30? And can we go to 11
I'm sorry, what day?
next Friday?
16.
Sorry, next Friday. Do. I'm good until, I'm good all day, so.
Did any of you guys make it? You guys remember the South Sound Block Party?
Yep.
Did anybody make it to that?
No.
No, but I hear a lot of people, I know a lot of people did, and it was a very successful one.
I heard it was successful too, and I didn't get to make it.
Yeah, I didn't.
I really wanted to go.
Oh, they could do something like that in Lacey.
Well, we asked. her.
We wanted them to, but they had already picked their venue. But they did say that, you know, in subsequent years that they might consider,
Expanding.
yeah, it's just that, you know, Olympia's got waterfront,
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
know, and we don't, so.
We have lakes.
We do.
Just want to be mindful, we're now out of the public meeting and you guys still constitute a quorum.
Oh, right. Sorry. Thank you. Thank you.
So.
Okay.
I'm leaving.
We are.
Seattle.